Thanks for watching my video. Today we're going to install an Escort power cord. It is the blue SmartCord from Escort. This will be the same install if you're doing a blend mount MirrorTap. So I set up my Escort wire to be just like the MirrorTap. So this is what I'm using now. It's just a SmartCord that's plugged into the cigarette lighter. Not a huge fan. I don't like having a wire hanging down from my rearview mirror. I don't like extra wires hanging anywhere. So I've had this Corvette for a little while, and now it's time to clean it up. So to do this, the first thing we need to do is remove this plastic shroud that hangs back behind the mirror. So you're going to grab a hold of the bottom and give it a good tug. There's only 5 metal clips that are holding this on, but they're holding it on very well. So when you start at the bottom of this plastic shroud, you can pop the bottom 2 out fairly easy just by prying down. The 2 that are at the top closest to the mirror, you can take your straight screwdriver, and once you pry the plastic down enough to see it, you will see the metal, and that screwdriver, you should be able to push it in just enough to where it'll drop that little the little clip out of the plastic bracket on that roof, that pillar on the top there. So once you get 4 of those little clips loose, the 5th one is right in the middle of it. It'll eventually break free and just fall down in your hands, as you're about to see happen on mine. So there it is, out of the way. Now we need to remove the plastic cover that's on the back of the rear view mirror. Yes, you do need to remove that plastic shroud before you can get this piece off. Don't take a shortcut, because there is no room to play. You don't have any room to play with this process. So once you have that little plastic cover off, now you can get your wire harness that goes into the rear view mirror. So it's easiest if you take a straight slot screwdriver and just push that little tab in on the connector, and the 2 sides of the male and female sides of the connector will fall apart from each other. So once you get it apart, you can grab the one that comes out of the roof and you can pull it down about 2 inches. And now that you have it down, you can attach your wires. So as you see, I created my own kind of MirrorTap wire out of my, just out of necessity pretty much. That, and I like having a fuse on my radar detector. So what you're going to plug into once you have it apart is the black wire is going to go to the black wire on the roof, and the red wire is going to go to the purple wire. That's red to purple. Purple is your power. And then you can see I'm going to test it now. So I have an actual test radar detector that I use. It's easier than pulling out my multimeter and hooking it up. So once I fire the car up, you can see that everything's lit up. And I like having it plugged into that purple wire, because the purple wire is only hot when the car is on. And as soon as you turn the car off, your radar detector goes off, and I really like that feature. So this is going to work out well for me, and it's absolutely going to work out well for you also. And like I said, this is going to be the same process if you're going to install a MirrorTap. The difference is your MirrorTap's not going to have a 1 amp fuse attached to it. Your radar detector takes 12 volt power, but you want to make sure that you don't get anything more than 1 amp going into your radar detector, or you could fry the circuitry in it. So once you get everything hooked up, then we need to fight, and we need to get those wires back in the roof. So I was worried about my little MirrorTap coming out of the wire harness, so I went ahead and put a very small zip tie around the wires and the 2 new wires that I just added to my harness. And this way I don't have to worry about those little pins popping out of the harness. And then I want to just take my excess wire and shove it up in the hole. And that hole that the wire harness comes out of the roof is very, very small. So I just need to kind of fight with it, as you will, to get your wires up into the roof. And then once they're in the roof, then you need to put your back cover on the back of the rear view mirror and put the little shroud back up. So I'm installing the shroud now, and I'm going to do the right side first because I want to route my radar detector cord through that shroud to come out the left side. So I don't use the blend mount, mirror mount like most Corvette owners do. I kind of prefer having I prefer having that SmartCord glued to the rear view mirror. My radar detector doesn't have any usable functional buttons that I can get to like the old ones did, and I like to hit the mute. So the nice thing about the SmartCord is the little button on it. When my radar detector starts going off and it goes crazy, I like to reach up there and mute it. Or if I'm sitting somewhere, I can hold that button in for about 2 seconds and it'll store that location onto my radar detector, so my radar detector won't go off if it's like an automatic door or something in that neighborhood. So now that I got the plastic shroud back up, my wire's right, I can test out my system all together. So here we go. I'm plugging in my radar detector. I'm clipping it to the windshield. Now the difference in price, if you buy the MirrorTap is $39.99 and it'll plug directly into your car. Whereas if you buy the Escort Direct SmartCord, it's $29.95, but then you have to make ends. So if you continue to watch the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to make the ends for your smart cable, for your SmartCord. So here it is. I started the car up, the radar detector started up, and all is well. So here's how I built my own MirrorTap. So I just took copper wire staples, and they're nothing special about the copper wire staples. The one thing I do like about them that the MirrorTap doesn't have, a MirrorTap is just round, where a copper wire staple is pointy and very, very sharp. So I take the end of that wire staple, I just cut it where it horseshoes, and then I'm going to take a barrel connector and I'm going to drop that one little piece of the wire staple in there, and I'm going to crimp that barrel connector down onto the copper, and I'm going to do it as tight as I can because I don't want that thing wiggling around in there and coming loose or whatever. So then when you're driving down the road, your radar detector's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. That would just get annoying. So here I am with some 18 gauge copper wire, and I'm going to strip it back. I'm going to strip about maybe a ½ inch off of it, and I just put a little twist on it, and then I'm going to take my little barrel connector, put it in my crimper. I'm going to shove the copper part down into the barrel connector, and I'm going to give it a good squeeze. So now it's on there nice and tight. Now I need to protect it. So I have a little piece of 3/16. This is 3/16 heat shrink. I buy this stuff by about the 100-foot roll, so it's very, very affordable. 100 feet of it's like $15, where 2 feet of it at Harbor Freight is like $8. So you do the math. So I have this heat shrink in about every size imaginable because I'm always doing some kind of electrical project. So there we go. There's your MirrorTap wire for the red. You're going to do the same for black. Now you saw that I had a fuse on there. Well, there's an easy way to make a fuse connector. You're just going to take 2 female electrical connectors. I'm not really sure what the exact term is. Just if you Google electrical connector, female electrical connector, these are going to be the first ones that pop up. I want to say it's like Spade electrical connector or something like that, but who really cares? You know what I'm talking about. You've seen them before. I'm going to crimp one on one wire, and then I'm going to take another connector and I'm going to put it in my crimper, and I'm going to crimp it down on the other wire that has my MirrorTap on it. I'm going to crimp that down. Now when I take the blades from my fuse, as you see, it looks like a fuse holder. So I'm just going to plug one onto one blade of the fuse and one on the other blade of the fuse, and it looks that is good enough right there. But then I like to finish it off with maybe 1 or 2 pieces of heat shrink over the top to make sure that those two never come apart. And then what I'll do is I'll heat shrink the red to the black wire. That way I have my 2 wires together and they look a little bit better. So here I have 1.25 inches, and you could probably get away with using just 1 inch heat shrink, but I just cut a thin piece, and when I heat it up, it heats down and it's pretty thick around those connectors, just the way you'd want it. It makes a good sturdy foundation. But thanks for watching my video. I hope this helps you out, and good luck to you. Enjoy that Corvette.